Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is your boy, Mike the Philosopher. And I'm here with my boy, Black Mellow. And today's topic is love. Do we have love in the community? Do the men love the women? Do the women love the men? You know, I'm one of the people who I'm a hopeless romantic. Okay. Just a hopeless romantic. That's just the type of guy I am. But if I have to say, man, it seems as though the art of love is being lost in the community. People don't know what the art of love is. It's like a skill. You have to know how to maintain it. It's not just about building it, it's about maintaining it. What are your thoughts on that, Black?
I think that's the missing ingredient to all our problems in our community, hands down.
Okay.
It covers it blankets every single issue that we have in our community. It blankets all of them. One time.
Right.
Because we are the answer to our problems. And we don't love ourselves enough to know it.
Oh, that's deep, bro. Yeah.
I promise you, we the answer. I believe in us, relentlessly. But it's difficult maintaining that same speed of love towards my people. And my people continually, let me down or disappoint me in things that they keep doing. And in an effort to get some clout, they'll do some treacherous stuff to one another, and the payoff is never, equal to the actual, crime or effort that they did. It's like, dude, like we'll rob each other with the quickness. We'll swing on each other with the quickness. We'll shoot, gun one of us down with the quickness. But outside our community, we hesitate. I mean,
right.
And everybody know it. Everybody we had these conversations, everybody say the same thing. But I'm telling you what it is. We don't instill love in each other. We don't respect love because the love was beat out of us during the process of the making of the US nigga.
Okay. So you think that it was kind of beat out of us and stripped from us when we first came over here.
Yeah, we had plenty love for our communities, for our culture. We was intact before we was arrested and chained and kidnapped and all that and enslaved. Yeah, we had love. There wasn't an issue. We had a code we lived by. We had an honor code that we lived by as a people. Like you treated women a certain way. They were held up to a high regard to some degree. And it's like you had to pay a dowry just to even marry a woman.
Right.
You know what I mean? You had to respect that man. If you wanted to marry a woman in biblical times or just even 400-500 years ago, like you had to really come up with some bread. You know what I mean? Whether it be stocks, whether it be like cheap, a herd of, livestock or whatever, you had to come up with some bread and you had to ask for that man's permission to take one of his jewels, one of his precious family members, his daughters, out of his house. Like she is going to be a legacy maker. She makes legacy. You impregnate her, give her your last name and that baby. And that baby grows up and starts its own family. And she's a legacy maker, man. That don't come cheap.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So, let me say this though, Black. Here at BMR, man, we love everybody. You know what I mean? I really want our community to start doing some healing.
Yeah.
because I know both the men and the women are hurting, man.
Yeah.
And we seem to be lacking the solutions on how to repair. And that's what we want to talk about, is some solutions on how to repair the community. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And this, I mean, I could say this for the whole country, the whole world, but love is something that seems to be disappearing, like R&B music. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And a
Yeah.
lot of people are becoming more self-indulged and more selfish and more narcissistic by the day. And we need to bring that back, because that was a structure that was needed for families. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Let me say this. I love everybody, okay? Um you know, African American, Black women, African women, whatever. I really, really love y'all. Okay, y'all are special. Okay, not just to me, but to Black too. I know this guy. Okay, and listen, we want y'all to know that you have somebody here that loves you. Okay, Mike just joined us. Mike Dub in the building, and the
Big
topic.
Mike.
What's going on, y'all?
Hey, what's
What
up?
up, man?
And the topic, man, is love, man. Okay, because what we notice in the community, man, is that our community is lacking love, Mike. The women are hurting, the men are hurting. The women don't feel like they're being heard. The men don't feel like they're being respected. You know what I mean? Let's get to some answers, man, on how to repair the community. Now, I got a question for y'all. Do it start with self-love?
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
It starts in the home too, just like a charity. Charity starts in the home. You know what I mean? You raise young, impressionable people up who don't know nothing from nothing. You raise them up and instill love, confidence, compassion for other people. And they, in turn, you produce a well-balanced human being who's compassionate toward other people. When they go out and they grow up in this world, they're going to see the ills of it. They're going to see the ups and downs, the good and the bad. But they're going to have something to draw from when they're going to need to demonstrate that compassion towards somebody else. Maybe I don't swing on dude because he stepped on my Jordans. You know what I mean? Maybe I show him some, show him some love. Like, all right, bro, maybe you didn't mean to do that. I ain't going to swing on you. But from what I've seen, we so quick to do that to our own people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we'll swing on each other in a heartbeat. Won't think nothing of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But somebody else do it, we'll second guess it. You know what I mean? We'll take caution.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe I ain't gonna swing on you, but man, you lucky you ain't Black. That's what we want to say.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just my opinion, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, Mike, can you teach self-love?
I think anything can be taught.
But how can you teach self?
Racism is taught.
Right. Yeah.
So I think anything can be taught.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how you can get to a point where you could teach self-love, unless the only way I see that possible is if a parent to a child.
Well, that's what Marlon was saying.
Yeah.
That, it starts at home.
It do start at home.
However that child is raised, whatever he sees, that's a good chance of who he's going to become as he gets older. So
then it's really going to have to start with the parenting then, and we're going to have to maybe our community should start taking parenting classes and teaching how to raise kids with enough self-confidence to have self-love and not selfish love where they only care about themselves. Because let me tell you, we got a media storm out here. We got a lot of stuff out here promoting selfishness. We got a lot of stuff promoting selfishness, but we don't have a lot of stuff out here pushing giving. You know what I'm saying? Giving love. It's all about what I can accumulate. And I said, this country is really made love transactional. That's what happens in a capitalistic society, is that I'll love you, but what you gonna give me? You see what I'm saying? And that's just like, you know, that's kind of whack, because if you don't keep up with the transactions, then boom, I'm gone. Man files for divorce, women files for divorce. You know, nobody stays together, child suffers, you know, and then they don't have both parents to raise them up and teach them that self-love. And it's just an ongoing cycle. So I guess we would have to start at home, but the question is, you know, how are we going to do that unless we take some kind of parenting classes? Because it seems like all the grandparents and the big mamas are gone, man. I see big mamas twerking.
Yeah, they
you know what I'm saying?
They're young. They're young now.
They super young, man. And they go into the club and you know, they twerking with their daughters. I've seen this. They twerking with their daughters side by side.
Big mamas is not old no more. Now they're just going through midlife crisis.
Yeah. They're going through midlife crisis. And now that you don't have a lot of fathers in the household, it's like, who's to hold any of that accountable? Because now, I'm not saying that the mothers don't teach the young girls self-love, because they do. But a lot of times it get misconstrued for selfish love. You know what I mean? It's more like, girl, you better get that man with the bag, do this, do that, let's twerk on this, let's get this money. It's because if we're being honest, man, it's the mothers who control the value of the kids. The kids hold their value from the mothers. Am I wrong on that? Correct me, fellas, if I'm wrong on that.
I think it depends. If mom's the only one there, then yeah. But if she's in a 2-parent household, I absolutely think fathers can provide some values there as well.
Right. But if I have to say one is more influential, it's probably the mother. Just like Farrakhan and the nation say, mother is the first teacher. You know.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. She's the first teacher, but going back to an earlier point, I think love can be taught, but what needs to happen as a whole is therapy. I think now that the stigma is lifting off of Black therapy, I think the road to healing starts with that. A lot of us have traumatic events that have happened in our lives that we have not dealt with because it was stigmatized, or because it was teased, or somebody said this, that, and the third, so you didn't want to get treatment for it or whatever. But it's messing with you, you know what I mean? It's bogging you down. Or, somebody got, a traumatic event, somebody got shot in front of you or something, or anything like that, And it's like you were never counseled on how to balance your emotions out. I'm talking about, and then you grew up, and then you had kids, and then that trauma was with you while you was raising these kids. You know what I mean? So you come in with a traumatic perspective, raising some impressionable people. And it's like, they don't know why you act like you act. They just gonna look at what you do and mimic what you do. That's it. Because you can tell them, but they gonna do what they see you do. So you move dramatically, and they don't know why. So they do the same thing, and they don't know why. Maybe a woman got beat as a kid, and her boyfriend beat her, and then she got married, her husband beat her. You know what I mean? And the kid gonna grow up saying that, and then they gonna do the same cycle. It's trauma. We gotta get therapy. We gotta start healing ourselves, like mentally and spiritually. You know what I mean? Like for real. Because you can't give what you don't have. So if I'm off balance because of traumatic things that detoured my actions and my thought process in my younger years, I got to get back on track. And I can't fully be 100% available for myself or nobody else until I do that.
Well, okay, I got a question for you, Mike. If we can't afford therapy because
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, man. We can't a lot of the community can't afford therapy because it costs you need insurance in a lot of cases and out-of-pocket expenses also, and it can run up. The bill can really run up, and the condition that our community is in, we gonna run that bill way up.
Oh yeah,
okay?
It's a whole lot of trauma.
So give me a second solution, man, as to where we could go outside of therapy. Is it the church?
Yeah, I would say it's the church. I would say it. Even if you don't call it like the church or whatever, I would say our elders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they're kind of disappearing though, Black. They're disappearing.
It's got to be like we got to know first what the problem is to know what the answer is. If I'm a young dude, I don't know how to tie my tie, then I know I'm gonna need a man, typically that I'm gonna want to show me how to tie my tie. So there is someone in the community that I can reach out to if that's something I desire. But you have to know that this is an issue first. So if you know it's an issue, you can find a solution. You know what I mean? So if it's not the church, it can be somebody older, somebody wiser, but first you have to realize, okay, I need help. I need therapy. I need somebody I can talk to that's not going to judge me. That's all really it is. Just be there, be able to sit through my consultation or, my, just dumping all my ideas and thoughts and traumas on you, and don't judge me at the end. I want a safe space. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, typically a younger person your age, your peers, ain't gonna be able to handle that. They're gonna handle it real immature and probably cause more damage. So you're gonna need an old head. See, the problem is like the teenagers, I ain't trying to be long-winded, but the youth right now and the youth when we was coming up, it was like, you had a little bit more people on code back in the days, but they were still corrupt. You know what I mean? Now there is no more code, you know what I mean, of conduct. There's no rules of engagement right now. These little so-called street dudes, all these little punk thug type characters, not all of them punks, I ain't trying to say that, but the people who think being violent toward other people is cool and they get street cred for that, them types, they want to impress somebody else. They don't have a code no more because the old heads is not there to check them. They all locked up, burnt out, and broke. And nobody respects broke people. So because of that, man, I ain't gotta listen to you. I'ma do me and you do you. Or I can snitch on somebody now. You know what I mean? I can beat up girls now and get props or laugh at it, record it. There is no more code, man, because the old heads ain't there. So if we consider ourselves someone of value at all, we can offer ourselves for availability for these youngsters out here. You know what I mean? That's a start. We can start with us. You know what I mean? And then, it goes from there.
All right. But what you got for that, Mike?
Yeah, I lost my connection went out. So
it did. Okay.
Yeah, some of I didn't hear.
So what do you think other than the church? What other alternative would you say we would have, man, to get some healing for the people?
I might be the wrong person to ask, bro.
Yeah.
This real talk. This after 25 years of doing this job and seeing where things things were and where they at now, man, I don't have any. That's not to say that I'm not willing to try or do whatever. I just don't have no hope or faith in these, in our community right now, dude. These
Really? Wow.
There's no respect. There's no self-respect. So if you don't respect yourself, you're not gonna respect nobody else. So it's if you don't have enough respect for yourself, then how you gonna respect somebody that's trying to help you?
Right. Let me ask y'all this. Do you think the solution will be to get families and men back into the households? Do you think that would be a good start to, because, and this is just my theory, y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, with the men out of the households, the structure is gone, and the kids who, need a father is not, they don't have that role model or that guy to raise them up a lot of the times. And I think a lot of that has to do with either their resentment for their fathers or, like Black was saying, a lot of them are locked up. A lot of them don't have the money or this, that, and the third. So, and, the mothers all, for the most part, raise the kids, not just in our community, but in all communities. So just the mother being in a household doesn't seem to be working, doesn't seem to be the answer. So do you think an influx of fathers going back into the households that would fix families, thereby fixing self-esteem in kids?
But how do you do that? Because there's a lot of men out here, I will say that are donors.
Yeah,
don't have nothing to do with their child, and have multiple donors. This cat's out here with 4, 5 kids, and not doing nothing for none of them.
Right.
So how do you fix that as a community? That's individual. That's something that as a man, that's something that's supposed to be instilled in you. To not leave your kids under any circumstances. But that's what happens.
Yeah. And I think that has to do with a culture, man. I think that us as men, we need to come together, and we need to come together and build a community that's safe for everybody. That means, we'll go back to the whole, it takes a village, mantra, where it doesn't matter if it's my biological kid or not, I'm gonna help raise that child so that they have a sense of not only a father figure, but help them to input self-esteem into the child and self-worth into the child. You see what I'm saying? I have been a stepfather. Shout out to my kids. I have helped raise kids. I've helped raise 9 kids. Not all of them were mine. But I've helped raise them. But at the same time, so I feel like I have done. I'm not just talking it, I not preaching it. I've actually done it. But I just feel like us as men, we need to come together, build a community to instill self-esteem into our children. And I think the children will be the key to getting back the love that the community is missing, because somewhere along the lines we dropped the ball.
Well, just think about it from this way. When we was growing up in our neighborhoods, man, your neighbor catch you doing something you ain't supposed to do, they could yell at you and do whatever needs to be done.
Right.
And then they tell your parents, then you get dealt with at home.
Right.
That's how we used to be.
That was nowadays. That was village.
Nowadays we don't have that village. Now you yell at somebody's kid, and next thing you know is, why you yelling at my kid?
Right. Right.
That's where we're at now.
Well, the fathers used to be in the house more so back in those days, you know what I mean? More than now, you know what I mean? There was more of a family unit structure back then, and the mothers and parents now are a lot younger, so the maturity level ain't quite there yet. They can't appreciate, you know, somebody correcting a kid, possibly saving their life. You know what I mean? So they're real emotional and immature about, you know, anybody else correcting their kid, because evidently you need to be corrected. You know what I mean? Like we lost our sense of community. Like we're not even a community in our eyes. Like you, I'm me, and I don't know you. I don't rock with you. You know, you on your own. You know what I mean? That's our community. It's popular, but other communities are not. Are you know they extend the olive branch more so. I mean, a lot more. The Jewish community, they rock with each other in business and everything else. I'm talking about they spend money in each other's business. Like they make sure everybody's fed. They take care of one another. Like Mexican people, like for, you know, all intents and purposes, you know, they got plenty of issues too. You know what I mean? But they more cohesive over here than they are even in Mexico. You know what I mean? When I went to Mexico, like I didn't see all the camaraderie, you know, that I see over here. They sleep in the same house over here, 20 people in one car just to get to work so they can send money back to Mexico. Like they rock with each other over here.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Black, because now I'm asking myself, do we love our own community, or do we try to assimilate in other communities?
We hate ourselves, man. We don't, because we don't know. It's like we all adopted. Every single one of us feel like adopted kids. You know what I mean? To some degree, in my opinion. Like we feel like, man, where am I from? I don't know. Like we think about it. A kid who don't know who his parent is. You don't know your father. You know what I mean? You don't know your mother. But so you always got that in the back of your mind. Why'd you give me up? You know what I mean? Like, was I not good enough? Like, why am I not with my family like everybody else? So every time a holiday come around, I'm with strangers. So it's dysfunctional. Us as a Black community, I feel like because of how we was introduced to this country, that we have some slither of that in the back of our minds. Like we're bastards over here to some degree. So everybody who made it over here is a reminder of an embarrassment that happened to you. So I don't like looking at you in the mirror because I don't like what I see in my dang self, my own mirror. You know what I mean?
Right. Let me give y'all a scenario. A woman, a sister, walks in the store with her child. Child asks for candy. She say no. He takes the candy. She spank him right there in the grocery store in front of everybody. Do you think that we are harder on our kids than other communities? And do you think that has a lasting effect on our self-worth and self-esteem?
Yeah, I do. I think we're harder on our kids in large in part because we understand.
Fathers and mothers?
Well, I don't know. I would say it's kind of equal, you know. I think it's equal, but mothers in public, you know what I mean? We do sometimes respond a little bit more aggressively, even if it's not necessary. You know what I mean? Even if it's not necessary, we go overboard though. Is my issue. We quick to go overboard, and then we don't correct the little subtleties of a kid's behavior. You know, all you got to do is talk to them, but we'll rather yell at them and embarrass the kid.
Right. What do you think about that, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I said you're gonna see white parents, you know, handling their kids that way. Right. On the flip side, you're gonna see us as kids acting a donkey in the store either, you know, crying and, you know, throwing a temper tantrum. You won't see that from us either. They just, you know, White people just going about, okay, whatever, let them cry and act a
have their
fool
little
and do all of that
tantrum and they
stuff.
fit. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'd be like, we looking at them like,
right.
Control
yeah,
your kid.
Knock his head off.
Oh, that's just little Billy. He just loves sneakers and M&Ms.
He woke up on the other wrong side of the bed today.
He said he hates you, Mama.
Right.
He said he hates you.
He said, go to hell, Mama.
Right.
Right. But and then he grow up to be CEO. And then it's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
it start making you question, man, your technique and of how you're raising some, your kids, because with that discipline, I am interested on how the effects that will have on you as an adult, because obviously if you feel more free as a child, you're probably going to feel more free as an adult. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's conditioning, it's training. Your parenting, your upbringing, the markers in your life that told you what was right, what was wrong, what was good and bad, up and down, what your limits were. Your limits were limitless, in other communities. Like they can literally get away with screaming and yelling at their parents in other communities, Caucasian communities. I ain't saying it's like across the board or nothing like that, but they are parented with a white glove, like with kid gloves to the most, to some degree. Now we were never issued that kind of grace. Like we were corrected on site, and even when we out in public, all your parents got to do is look at you, and you know what it is. They're gonna give you a talk before you even get out the car. Like this is what it is. Don't ask me for nothing. You know what I mean? And even when you're driving, can we get some McDonald's? You got some McDonald's money. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they're gonna let you know what it is, and that's gonna shut all that down. Now if your friend from the other side of the street, the Caucasian side of the street, that's your homeboy or whatever, and he's sitting in the car like, no, that's some bullshit, man.
Right.
Like, no, want fries, you ought to get fries.
Right. I was watching Eric. I was watching.
You get us both.
I was watching Ari Spears, man.
Ari Spears, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
That's your room, yeah.
Dude, this is your space. This is your space. You can't do that.
Oh,
yeah. And he was like, I loves you, Joseph, but don't get me in troubles.
That's so good to us.
I'm a good Negro folk. He was like, and they just have that a level of entitlement, man, that us as Black folks we don't really have, because they were raised that way.
I don't know, but do you think they're to some degree scared to disappoint their kids, or they're scared of their kids?
I don't think they're scared of their kids, but they just have a level of care that there seems to be more empathetic.
A lot of them grow up to be, the school shooters now. No.
Yeah, I know, and they get away with a lot, but I think that it's still kind of a sense of self-esteem booster to them, to the point where they feel like they can practically do anything. You know what I mean? It's like a superpower, because if you're hard on your kids all the time, they're gonna grow up thinking that they like, you try to tell them you could do anything, you could be anybody, you could be president, this, that, and the third. A lot of them is not gonna believe that. Especially if they're coming up in the hood, man. They look around and they like, my life ain't gonna never be what those other communities is gonna be. So I gotta make a life here. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just think that style of raising kids, it has, I would say it probably has more pros than it do cons. And the way that, a heavy-handed parent is probably has more cons than pros, man, because you don't know the damage you're doing to the kids if you continue to punish them at levels that are so hard to the point where it affects their self-esteem and their productivity and self-love, which is what we're talking about. You know what I mean? They start feeling down on themselves and, you know, kind of stealing a little self-love away from them every time they get spanked or, you know, punished or something, you know? So I think it's a tough line. Now let me ask y'all this. Let me ask Mike Lowry this first, okay? Mike Lowry, how can we show love, more love to the ladies, man? They need us. What's step one? I know that's a hard question.
You ask me that.
You know, I know you ain't got no problem with this, but you know, but at the same time, how can we show more love to the ladies? And when I say the ladies, man, I'm talking about mothers, significant others, daughters, all the ladies. How can we show more love to the ladies? Because the need for love for them is the most needed as far as what I can see. Now, don't make no mistake, the men need it too, you know, but you know, from what I see, our ladies need it the most. What say you, Mike?
I think, you know, before you even get to love, I think what they need is they need respect, and they need to feel protected. Because yeah,
and feel heard, because women love to feel like they're being heard too. You know, like
yeah. Well, just from what I see, you know, there is a lot of women that, you know, talk about their issues, and you know, most of us men, we like, well, that's bullshit. I don't fuck with nobody that, you know, that would do that. Right. And they were like, well, yeah, just because y'all don't mean they don't mean that they're not out here. Mm-hmm. You said if you see everybody saying the same thing, we dealing with the same stuff. So y'all just a small percentage of, you know, guys. There's a bunch of other guys that's not doing what y'all are doing.
Right. It's that whole anecdotal. So I think a lot of people get stuck in their own anecdotal experiences where, like I was saying this to Black, like, you know, how we were raised up. It's like, you know, what? Men are actually beating on women? Like, we don't see, we've never seen that. Men are, you know, touching little, you know, we don't see that stuff. So yeah. But, you know, we can't say it don't happen. You know what I mean? If they're saying it's happening, it must be happening somewhere. And I got to take my own anecdotal experience and throw it out the window. And I got to listen to what she's saying.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, like that's exactly what I was saying, that, you know, just because we're not in that environment, or we would never do, you know, the things that they're talking about, doesn't mean that, you know, we can just brush it off and not respect what they're saying. And a lot of what men need to do, though, because there is some men that they know that they boy is foul for, you know, for doing some shit, and we don't correct each other.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I should be, if you my guy and you doing some foul shit, you out of order, I should be able to come to you as a man and tell you, look, bro, what you doing is wrong.
Right.
And you as my guy should be able to respect what I'm telling you, and it be just that.
And not get all in his feelings.
Yeah, right.
Hold it against you. Yeah, that's real.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta have that, implement that sense of community back. We gotta look at each other as real brothers, like you know, all BS aside, because we have been under attack in this country for years, and it's showing up in our children and in our wives, all the women in our lives. they are the barometer for how we doing. They the report card for our community. They're not the cause of the problems. They just reporting on it. They telling you, listen, this needs to change, that needs to change. It's really on us, man. I put it on our shoulders as men. If we are to be the leaders of our community, we have to take the blame for what's going on in our community. I mean, hands down, we gotta see it that way. It's more or less, we ain't got no luxury of time to waste on this no more. Like, we really got to put it on our shoulders. We got to raise our children right. They got to have some self-respect before they go out here and show anybody else some respect. And that got to come from home. I got to respect them. I got to respect their mother. I got to respect myself. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be visual, you know, and it has to be genuine, you know, and then they can carry it out and seek out friends who do the same. You know what I mean? But if, you know, I can't parent everybody else's kid, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a community effort, but it got to be taken serious.
Right. And I agree with that. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
And here's a prime example when you talk about self-respect. If you can't go nowhere out in public without seeing somebody with their pants sagging, you know, beneath their ass with their underwear showing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand what that's about.
I don't either.
Why it's a thing.
I don't either.
It's zero respect. It's really like, it's just, man, dude. Like,
it screams to me a boy without a father, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
100%.
the father would tell you, boy, pull those pants up. You know what I mean? And he will pull them up. It just screams to me a boy without a father. And that brings me to my next question. You know, I know that we are the leaders of the community. It does rest. A lot of it rests on our shoulders. Because listen, the men need the men, they need love too. So what y'all would say as a message to women on how they could show us more love?
Because the women, on how they can show us more love.
Yeah.
Oh man, like,
I know nobody ever thinks about this, but I know that's a tough question. But
I don't know. I got a good one. So
okay, go ahead.
So it's the subtle things, you know, like learning habits and complimenting those habits. You know what I mean? If it's something that in my work day, I'm in construction, I come home, you know, I'm tired, you know, have something ready for me. You know what I mean? Give me about 20 minutes to just wind down. Debrief. Don't bother me right then and there. Right. And then I ain't gotta come at you no kind of ill way. And then I can process my day, and then I can be of service. And then have something to eat, something to drink, and I'm cool. I'm simple. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And listen, if I'm trying to tell you something that's gonna benefit the whole family, support me. Because I'm trying to level all of us up. With my one effort, I'm trying to level the whole family up. Support me. You ain't got to believe in it or understand it. Support it, though. Because everything I'm doing is for the benefit of the whole family. You see what I'm saying? Right, so that's my take on it.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I ain't never been one of them cats who felt, you know, black women this, black women that. Yeah, that ain't never been me.
Okay.
You know, that's...
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily black women this or that. It's just, I mean, just women in general. It not even really about race. It's just what do you feel like women could do to, you know, I mean, well, it is kind of that in our community. Because look, you know, okay, like the statistics, little boys, they do the worst in school. Little black boys, they do the worst in school. Little black boys probably get punished the most. Little black boys go to jail the most, get executed the most. What is it, if there was something that the women could do? And I know, like I said, we got to take our own anecdotal experiences, right? Put them to the side and try to see the world for what it is instead of how we see it. So, you know, you got it. You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, but along those lines, from what you just said, you know, you talk about, you know, black boys, you know, are punished the most, end up in, you know, jail the most. But once again, that's gonna come back to, you know, single parent households ran by women.
Mm-hmm.
And what are those women out here doing? They got to support the household. So they're not there. They may not be there in most instances to show them boys the love that they need, because they got to bring income into that house.
Right.
You know, they may have, you know, other siblings that they got to take care of. So that's where that, when you talk about parenting, with the difference in, you know, sometimes with white parents and black parents, with, you know, going back to the store example,
Right.
because they don't have all that stress that they're dealing with